What up? Random rockers. Yeah, it's getting a little dark. I was hoping to beat the daylight and have some little better lighting for you guys. I apologize. But yeah. It's been a while since I talked movies, hasn't it? I've seen two other movies, and I honestly wish I bothered to talk about them more than this movie. However, I went in with this movie low expectations, mostly from everything that's been said and going into this thing. And, well, bad is not really what I call this movie. It's not, prime MCU, but this is better than what I thought it was going to be. Hell, there's a scene I heard about that I was immediately expecting, like, the one planet stuff storyline from freaking Star Wars Last Jedi levels of stuff, but it turns out that wasn't even nearly that bad. Though given that it would have been 19 minutes, it probably would have been. And they cut some of that out from what I hear. Thank God. Or else it would have been too much, honestly. I don't know why they... And it got... it was... I'll get more into that in spoilers, I guess, but yeah. I do feel like Brie Larson's moral's a little bit better. I do feel like there's a certain thing to her where she's got a certain social awkwardness, and she's been such a lone wolf most of the time, I guess, during her heroic journeys, that she's never been as much of a team player, even though she was kind of in the Avengers, but not really. And it seems now she's in a position to do that here more often, and it kind of showcases itself a little bit. And I guess this is a little bit better of a Carol Danvers, but than what we got in the Marvels, but in Captain Marvel, and sure, you probably needed to see what happened with Monica Rambeau, and there's the one that seems to be consistent, where you kind of still need to see it. That would still be helpful, or you would, I guess, be Miss Marvel more so or less. And I guess sort of what happened with WandaVision has somewhat stayed consistent. Though what happened in Secret Invasion, not so much. It's frustrating. Isn't frustrating to a degree, but weirdly, despite that, I still had to have fun with this. I will say that of the things that happened this week, Loki Season 2 is apparently better and actually shows that they still have it in them, even if the Marvels technically doesn't. I get the issues, and I wound up having a little more fun with this than most people, probably. I'd probably recommend Multiverse again, like I kind of did with, I think I talked about Flash. Hell, I probably would say the same thing about the Blue Beetle one if I ever did review that, which I didn't, but hell, I would say I'd like the Blue Beetle more than this. But what we did get is interesting. I mean, the big consensus is the one scene on the one planet, and that's kind of comes off like a comedic bit in a way. That's weird. And there's also what happened with how do I put it? Well, say Kamala Khan is the one thing that I agree with everybody else about. It is the better thing. Her performance as Miss Marvel And yeah, it's actually, yeah, Iman Vellani is really good. It's really good, and it does make me wonder if she should. If I really actually do like this, her. I mean, she has moments that's kind of annoying, but she has a way she acts. She's acting, and there's a charm to her where she gives more of a shit and is having fun, and you're wanting to have fun with her. Um, and it's done pretty well, I think. And yeah, the movie. There's a good movie in here. It's just there's a lot of flawed and really somewhat kind of fucky shit going on. But nothing that makes me go completely but I was kind of also wondering like when it started, I'm like, how far is this gonna go? I'm like, oh, okay, it's not the whole time. What? Yeah. Also, there was apparently it's the planet Aladna. It's let's say it's that. Um, I get why they're there, and from what the plot kind of does. Um, and there are certain interactions that are more believable between the characters. And the chemistry between our main three leads. Um, kind of happen that are kind of weird, but yeah, but to me overall, at I'm gonna just say it, at best I can only give it like maybe a low to high thumbs up. I do expect better from the MCU, but I've also technically seen worse, I guess. Specifically, I'm gonna say I like, weirdly, despite its flaws and all that bullshit, I kind of like this better than Captain Marvel. I just gonna say it. Even despite some of the flaws that happen in this movie, or at least they don't become as jarring as I thought they would be. At least not enough to make me consider this worse than Captain Marvel. But take that for what it's worth. I would recommend that you go into this movie with low expectations. Like I did. It probably will help you. Worked for me. Anyways, I'm gonna go on to the spoiler stuff in 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. Danvers defies the influence of the Supreme Intelligence and destroys it, which leads to increased civil war and the desolation of their homeworld, Hala. The conflict renders the planet barren, and it loses its air, water, and sunlight. Which eventually gets addressed later in the movie. Arbin, the new leader of the Kree, who is basically technically Dollar Store Ronin. I get that issue some people have. Kree retrieves one of the quantum bands. Although it technically should be nega bands, but quantum bands are really quasar. But it's fuck it. I've seen worse from like the worse ways of adapting comic stuff from the pre-MCU at this point to where I don't even care that what we've gotten from the MCU at this point. That's just me, I guess. Whatever. Kamala Khan has the other half. Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, has the other half. Harnesses the power of the band to tear open a jump point in space. The resulting anomaly is discovered by Sword. Meanwhile, Fury, now residing at the Saber space station. Close peace talks between the Kree and the Skrulls. Or at least it seems like he's supposed to, but technically doesn't. At least not in the way that things left off from Secret Invasion, if I'm being honest with you. Michael Rambo investigates a jump point nominally near Saber while investigates the source of the anomaly where Darban found the quantum band. When Rambo touches the anomaly, she, Danvers, and Kamala switch places through teleportation. The switching causes the three of each other's Kree enemies, leaving the Khan's house destroyed in their wake. The three women return to their original places. Fury and Rambo visit Kamala on Earth as Kamala eagerly which that scene, that whole fight scene was, and the way that was going on was pretty cool. Actually good fight choreography. The three women return to their places. Fury and Rambo visit Kamala on Earth as Kamala eagerly demonstrates her powers. She switches places with Danvers. When it's away, she switches places with Kamala in midair. Black girl magic! That's going to be the one meme that should come out of this whole fucking thing. That's going to be hilarious. Black girl magic! So Kamala on Earth, as Kamala eagerly demonstrates her powers, she switches places with Danvers. When Danvers flies away, she switches places with Kamala in midair. I already said that. The group's son surmises that their light-based powers are linked through quantum entanglement, and that they switch places when any of the three use their powers simultaneously. The three join up at a each colony on the planet Tarnax, where talks of settlement have dissolved. Darban rips open another jump point, which ends the atmosphere of Tarnax into the Hala to try and restore its air. And to evacuate the colony efforts, have a team informally referred to by as the Marvels. Danvers informs the others this had been used to create the jump point transportation network. The three became entangled due to their mutual contact. She and Darban disrupted it. Darban's turning of jump points in, causing further instability to the network and endangering the universe. But there's like an intimate moment in between all this stuff that's really cool. Between some of the character, between those three characters, that was intimate moment with like the headset stuff that was from the first movie, from the Captain Marvel movie, that the Kree were using, that she was using to help with her memories, that she's still struggling with. Captain Marvel's still struggling with that after all these freaking years for some reason. And it just results in kind of serving sort of in as a weird exposition flashback for people who've not really caught up with what happened. Then that was explained about her backstory, about Rambo's backstory in WandaVision. They also sort of did a drawing thing that was for in the beginning with Miss Marvel. Anyways, they wind up deciding to go to the planet, but after doing this whole thing with that, and it leads to a cool moment. When they leave the planet, that would have been like to have been addressed a little more between Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. That would have been great. That I wish they didn't like gloss over a whole lot of it. I feel like there could have been, if they expanded upon certain things that were really cool moments more, it would have been like added more to the dynamics. That is kind of an issue. And it's more in the writing that is the issue with this movie. Not so much the directing, not so much the performances. Some of the choreography and stuff is fine. There is, like in the later portions of the movie, it's, I guess, aren't as strong choreography wise. I mean, as earlier in the film, but your man reaches water planet Aladdin. So up on a jump point. And they don't mention in here that on this planet, apparently it's where things get a little stupid. And it's musical. And it's very much their language is all you have to talk sing style. Basically musical bullshit. And it started off okay once they explained that. And they didn't do it the whole time. And it was just for the greeting, which would have been fine if it was just that. But, you know, they set that up so it's like, oh, we're going to get more of this. Great. And what's worse is then they kind of pulled some Disney princess shit on Captain Marvel that was really kind of stupid until they finally found a curveball plot thing to where turns out she's married to this prince of this planet. And she's kind of she's betrothed to this guy. And she's kind of the princess of the place, and he's trying to tell them about and warn them that their planet's going to get of which leads to the current situation. And then, of course, a nice moment where she tells them what's the whole thing I just told you about. That was in the beginning of the synopsis. She steals Kamala's band and uses both bangles in conjunction to tear open another hole in space. They act. So after Kamala reclaims the band, she and Danvers use their mind powers to energize Boo, allowing her to close the hole from the other side, straining her in the process, which didn't need to happen. She probably could have done it on the other side personally, on our side, and it wouldn't have been personally, but whatever. But it makes more, I guess it kind of makes sense with once the post-credit scene comes in, or the mid-credit scene specifically. Danvers flies into Hala's sun and uses her power to restore it, which she should have done years ago, but because she's just still used to what power she has, she just doesn't think about these things, I guess. I guess her more human error and her social awkwardness, I guess, given what's happened to her since the Kree pretty much brainwashed her. I mean, you don't, because of what happened in there, you don't feel as bad, necessarily as bad for the problem is because of anyone who's seen the Captain Marvel movie that's seen this, it's like you can't entirely feel bad for what she did to the Supreme Intelligence of Kree, given what the Supreme Intelligence, yet alone the rest of the Kree at that point, did to her. So it's kind of like, what the fuck? A little bit. But despite all these things and these flaws, I still didn't hate this. The short-lived team-up inspired Kamala to seek out other heroes from a new group, starting with Kate Bishop. And that scene was pretty cool. It kind of was her kind of attempting to do what we saw from the end cred scene in Iron Man, but I guess comes off funnier, and it's more of the delivery of the actress, Miss Marvel, that helps me feel it's still invested in it. And I thought that was kind of cool, and it does kind of still harken her back to what happened with Hawkeye. Kind of, sort of. In the mid-credit scene, we see Rambo wakes in a parallel universe where she is greeted by an alternate version of her mother, Maria. Yeah, where I guess she goes by scientist Hank, and the mutant scientist Hank McCoy. Beast himself. This is how we basically use this as the pushing on point of how to bring the Fox universe and the mutants from them in here and all that other stuff. And of course, whatever's going on in Deadpool 3, which will be probably and hopefully if it's a better movie and not a victim of the strikes we just fucking dealt with this year. Or at least a better survivor of it and not a victim. Just saying. Because that would be the only film we'll have next year involving Marvel in general, which is probably good, at least MCU-wise. Kind of, sort of. To end what that Fox universe was and lead it into something for the MCU. And I guess Rambo's going to be the catalyst from our universe. That's going to be a catalyst to push that. Maybe she'll be in the Deadpool 3. Also, they didn't tell you in this synopsis, about what happened on Saber's end of what happened on the Saber space station. That's also kind of weird, kind of fucked up, involving Goose, the Flurkin Goose, and it laying bunch of eggs of other cat Flurkin things that are apparently eating up people and using that to help evacuate the space station. That's somehow in shambles. So at least there's some kind of plot-driven thing. But the way he comes off, he's sort of more like Samuel Jackson's kind of just feels more paychecky this time compared to the way it came off in Secret Invasion, which is weird. At least for him and his interactions with the certain particular Skrull that was in the first Captain Marvel, that was in that show. And yeah. It makes me sad to say that, because that show somehow is more interesting still, despite its flaws. It's still somehow a little more interesting than this, I guess. But overall, yeah, like I said, it's the best I can do is that. It's kind of mid. It's fine. It's decent. It's mid. Which is still better than bad as far as I'm concerned. Everyone else is sort of bored with it. I didn't find it boring. I still think there was some fun to be had. And which that thing was sort of stupid, and then the costume changes were weird following that on the planet of. Also, the actor that plays the prince, I guess he had more to do in that was cut off because people from the test screenings might have seen the full version of it and were like, what the hell? And so they cut back most of it probably. And maybe they should have kept some of that for the audience in China or something. Probably, so that they could have not pissed them off. But they might have gotten more pissed off with what it was and felt bad for the actor, I guess. I don't know. Because apparently the actor that plays him was a much bigger deal in certain countries. Let me see here. It's Prince Yang, played by Park Sejong. I probably butchered that. I'm sorry. It's of Aladna, which almost sounds like Aladdin, weirdly enough. Which, of course, they were hinting at Young Avengers with the Kamala Khan thing and everything. Overall, I feel like the Loki series and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 are so far the best things we've gotten this phase. This is not the worst. I've seen worse. And the Captain Marvel movie I felt was that. This wasn't as strongly as this. I liked a little better. I do feel like there's a better movie in here that could have happened and they could have focused on more. But despite even the flaws here, it's not enough to make me say this is worse than Captain Marvel. I would actually somehow say it's better still, regardless of it, personally. And that's all I kind of wanted at this point. I wasn't expecting a whole lot going into it. So, fingers crossed that, Deadpool 3 will finally be great. And make up for it in the film end-wise. Because Loki Season 2 has already done its job in showing that Marvel still does have greatness in them still. It's just unfortunate that people aren't watching it to care. And you'd hope that there'd be good word of mouth to other people to go check this stuff out and watch it, you know. It'd be great. Seriously, season 2 Loki is wow. Wow, everything comes together super well. Other than that, yeah. What did you guys think of the Marvels? Did you hate it like most people? Are you in the minority that kind of did have fun with it, even if sort of have fun with it, even if you also don't think it's still technically great or top tier? And yeah, it didn't do well at the box office. I kind of think we all knew that. And yeah, it had those issues, but the problem is, I don't think anybody was expecting South Park to unleash and unload that whole situation with the put a chicken in me today and name kind of stuff. And also they kind of, also my issue is when they showed when they gave her to when they brought back hold on a second here. When they showcased what was I thinking again? It was, darn it, Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie. That brought them back to basically as a refugee. I guess she sent them through the Bifrost to New Asgard, which unfortunately is on Earth. And given what happened at the end of Secret Invasion, it's not a good, Earth is not a great place to be a Skrull right now. So yeah, there's that too. It's kind of a shame that, because not everyone is being cohesive and or sticking to the main narrative that is supposed to be set here. And the great shows that are being great are the ones that are actually sticking to it. I will say at least the Marvel sort of is trying. Kind of, sort of. At points, at least with Miss Marvel and what happened with WandaVision at least. And I guess Hawkeye? Shame it ain't Secret Invasion though. Given the way Fury comes off in here compared to what he just came out of from Secret Invasion. Yeah. And no acknowledgement of his Skrull wife. What wife? That honestly was really good chemistry between the two of them. What the fuck? But alright, whatever. I'll just fucking go with it at this point. It's flawed. And the flaws are kind of frustrating. But does it take away the fun of this? And the honestly, weirdly, superhero elements are the ones that are more interesting here. In this case, and the dynamics between the leads. And if not for that, I don't know if I could even say this is decent, you know? Because there are others that just will say this is bad, and I don't really agree with that. If that's the case, I wouldn't have had fun. But maybe just going in low expectations. There you go. But what did you guys think of the Marvels again? Leave a comment below, let me know. If you liked this video, rock the like button with the rest if you must. As always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. I'll see you next video. Take care, y'all.